Okay, hey, it's been a while. So, we moved to this new house back in October, November last year, and I was busy with a lot of renovation inside. But since there's no major project going on inside, I have turned my focus to the garage, and I'll try to get it ready and make my shop operational again. And I will try to do it as cost effectively as possible because I've spent a lot inside. Having said that, there are a few things that needs to be taken care of before I start organizing the shop. One of them is insulating. Here in Michigan, we have hot and humid summers and brutal winters, so installation is a must. And after that, I have to cover the walls with plywood. Only this wall behind me, which is adjacent to the house, has drywall on it. The other three walls, they don't have any cover. So I'll insulate and I'll cover it with plywood. But before doing any of that, I need to run some wiring for electrical outlets. I think there's only two outlets here in the garage, and outlets all around the shop. And to do that, I need to go inside the attic of the garage. Okay, so that's, I don't know if you can see that tube goes to my electrical panel. So I can run the wires that I need through that tube to the electrical panel, and I run the wires all the way to this side, or maybe that side, and I'll drop it down for the for all of the outlets. And here is the electrical panel. I have 1 2 3 4 on this side and 2 empty on this side, but there are two 220 volts circuit breaker here that I'm not using currently. One is for the dryer. I don't use electrical dryer anymore, so I can use this one. And this is for the range, oven range. Again, I'm not using electrical oven. It's a gas oven. So I probably should be able to use one of these for the 220 volt outlets that I need. Or maybe I just put a new one here, and I can put at least one or two 20 amp circuit breaker and one 15 amp. Okay, I think I pushed enough. I can see that it's sticking out, that orange cable. So I think I can just pull up the rest of it from here because it's getting hard to push it from downstairs. So successfully passed the cables through. This is the two 12-2 cables. That one is going to be dedicated for the dust collection. The other, I'm going to run it all over the shop for all of the tools except the table saw and the jointer, because those will be 220 and I'm going to use this wire for. Today is 90 degrees in Michigan. Here in attic, I would say it's at least 110, 120. So I'll try to do it as quickly as possible before I pass out. Okay, so the wiring through this conduit to the electrical box is done. This is the cables for the 220 30 amp circuit breaker, and these are the two 20 amps 115. So all I need to do is just connect them to the circuit breakers, and I'll be done with the electrical panel, so I can close it and turn on the main breaker, which is off right now. All right, let's do it. A quick disclaimer here. The main breaker is shut off and I am following proper safety procedures. However, I am not a licensed electrician, and here I am just showing my process. If you have a similar project and you are not fully familiar with electrical system, or you are not completely confident working with electrical component, do not attempt it yourself and hire a licensed and certified electrician. Thank you. This platform here, it's a good thing for like an extra storage, but I mean, it's not terrible, but it doesn't look great. However, I'm going to keep it, but right now it's only supported on the sides with, I think, nails through the walls, and only this 45-degree brace. And I need to remove this brace because when I start putting plywood on the wall, this is going to be on the way. So my plan would be support the platform from above instead of those 45-degree braces. So I'll run hooks or bolts through the ceiling joists, then use chains to hang the platform from those hooks. That way the weight will be supported by the joists instead of the wall braces. But first, I will start working on the receptacles. Here I'm installing the first two receptacles, a 2-gang 110 volt outlet and just below it a 220 volt outlet. After installing them, I realized they would be in the way when I start putting up the wall sheeting. So I decided it's better to leave the outlet installation for the final stage instead. Okay, the wiring on this side of the garage and in that corner is done. It's not the cleanest work, but it gets the job done. Now I want to attach this shelf or platform to the ceiling joist so I can remove this 45-degree support brace underneath it. To do that, I will need to go up into the attic again and drill through the ceiling joist and pass these, then I come back down past these hooks up from those holes, and I will secure them, secure the hooks with these bolts from top, but I won't tighten them all the way yet. And the reason for that is I'm going to use these chains to basically hang the platform from the hooks, and then go back up again, and I will secure them with these bolts, or basically tighten these bolts to so basically it pulls the chain up and makes it snug and tight and secure. And once that's done, I can safely remove this 45-degree brace and put the insulation on the wall and later plywood. All right, change of plans. As you probably saw, I couldn't drill from the top because the drill was blocked by the rafters. And so my only option here is basically drill from the bottom. And the only downside of drilling from the bottom is you're not 100% sure that you're going to end up in the dead center of those joists. But I'll try to hold the drill as straight as and plumb as possible and drill straight to the center of those joists. For the insulation, I'm using R13 faced insulation. I chose the 40 feet rolls instead of the pre-cut 8-foot pieces because I have sections with different heights and the rolls are easier to cut to height and also cheaper. I am making sure every area, like behind the wires, electrical boxes, metal bars, and pipes, is covered with insulation. Using an electrical staple gun makes securing the insulation to the studs fast and easy. All right, I have finished putting insulation on this side of the garage, on this wall. And before moving on to the next wall, I need to cover this section with sheathings. And so I'm gonna be done with this wall, then I'm gonna push everything next to this wall so I have enough room to work on that wall. I debated for a long time between plywood and OSB. I like plywood because it looks nicer and in my opinion, I think plywood holds screws and nails a little bit better than OSB. But in the end, I decided to go with OSB. I picked up 14 sheets for around $150 and the cheapest half-inch plywood that I could find that was decent for indoor use was about double that price. Also, I'm not planning to hang too many things on the wall, probably a few cabinets, and for those I can screw directly into the studs, and there are plenty of studs in this garage. So OSB it is, and the next step is cutting these OSB sheets to size for this wall, and also I need to cut out openings for the electrical boxes. This can be, that's not the rocket science, but can be a little tricky and time consuming to find the exact location for the cutouts. So to make it easier, I picked up this multi marking kit that uses these strong magnets. And the way it works is you place this small piece on the electrical box, then use this round magnetic locator on the other side of the sheet to mark the exact spot for the cutouts. That way the opening ends up right where it needs to be. So for each board I have to find the location, and let's get started. Using this magnetic cutout locator is both fun and easy. You just place the small magnetic block inside the electrical box and then use the round locator from the other side to pinpoint exactly where you need to cut for the opening. Then you can just use a jigsaw or a multi-tool to cut out the perfect opening. I will leave the link to this one and everything else I use in this project down in the description. And here you can see the final result. While measuring and cutting the OSB sheets, I made sure that each sheet starts and ends on the center of a stud. That way there's enough room on both sides for the screws to grab securely. Here I'm removing parts of the old insulation, not because it was bad, but to make room for the new wiring. After that, I added fresh insulation to fill everything back in. Alright, the installation and the sheetings, putting the OSB on the wall, and the electrical boxes, wiring those electrical boxes are done. These two walls are done. Now I just need to put the receptacles and connect these wires together and finish with the electrical. Okay, as I'm installing the outlets, let's talk about how much I spent on the first phase of turning this garage into a workshop. Here is the cost breakdown. For the electrical and wiring, including 12-2 and 10-2 Romex, 30 amp double pole and two 20 amp single pole breakers, wire nuts and connectors, outlet boxes and outlet wall plates, I paid $467.56. For the 8 rolls of 40 feet R13 faced insulation, I paid $191.76. 14 sheets of half-inch OSB cost $160.72, and for miscellaneous stuff like screws, staples, chains, hooks, bolts, and etc., I paid $75.37, bringing a total cost to $895.41 before any sales tax. All right, so we are done with the wiring and insulating the walls. The two sections behind top of the garage doors are insulated. That wall is insulated, and this wall is insulated. And all the electrical and the outlets are working perfectly fine. It took me a bit longer than anticipated because I had to pause midway for a CNC project. And as you can see, I've got my CNC on two temporary, the set of sawhorses, temporary sawhorses, and which takes up too much space. So I think I have to build like one of these folding carts for the CNC, and that's a future project. But the only area that is still uninsulated is this area behind these shelves. And to do that, to get to that wall behind these shelves, I need to clear everything up, but the shop is already packed and cluttered. So my next biggest step is building a miter saw station right here along this wall. This miter saw station will probably be the only stationary setup in my shop. Everything else will stay on wheels so I can move things around when I need more room. I'm planning to add base cabinets and wall cabinets with plenty of drawers and storage space to keep everything organized. So don't forget to tune in for the next video where I will start building this miter saw station. As always, thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next one.